I am convinced that this is one of the most helpful things you can do for your mental and emotional health. And yet nobody seems to know how to do it. So today we're fixing that, and I'm going to teach you, and you're going to know how to do it. We are talking about emotional check-ins, why they're so important, and why you need to know how to do them. Stick around. Hey there, welcome back, y'all. My name is Dr. Allison, and in case you are new here or we don't know each other, I am a licensed clinical psychologist, and I have pretty much dedicated my life. That might seem strong, but I've made it my life mission to really simplify psychology, to break down the science and really teach you what I know as a psychologist so that you can live a healthier and more meaningful life. Now, everywhere I turn, I feel like people are talking about wanting to feel better, feel happier, feel less anxious, less distracted, more focused. Everybody wants to feel more grateful, more connected. Everyone's talking about feeling better. And in general, I'm in support of those things, of feeling those things. However, everybody wants to feel better, but it feels like that's a distortion, feels like very few people are willing to first notice how they're feeling now. You want to feel better, but you don't want to notice how you feel now. Helpful interventions begin with accurate assessments. Imagine if you went to the doctor and you said, "My throat feels sore and scratchy," and they said, "Well, strep throat it is, bye-bye," and they gave you a prescription. That would be absurd. First, right, they take your vitals, they do a strep test, they do all of these things to first assess how you're doing, what's going on with your health. Imagine if you took your car into a mechanic and you said, it's making a weird noise, and they just popped open the hood and started clanging away. That would be strange and would likely cost you a lot of money, right? First, they run diagnostics. Then they take a closer look inside. Then they do some mechanical things that I clearly don't know anything about. First, they get an accurate assessment of what's going on with your car before they start doing any intervention. And emotional and mental health is the same way. And this is the value of emotional check-ins. You have to learn how to take an accurate assessment of how you're feeling before you can do anything about it. So if you want to fill in the blank, happier, less anxious, more focused, less distracted, more grateful, more connected, any of those things, you have to first know how you feel. And emotional check-ins are the easiest and most helpful way to do that. And of course, when it comes to mental and emotional health, things aren't quite as cut and dry as physical health or even as, your car or sort of mechanical things. So we have to sort of be a little bit more thoughtful about these assessments, and that's where emotional check-ins come in. And I'm going to give you 5 super simple steps to be able to do an emotional check-in to help you get to feeling better, or at least getting you on the path for how you want to feel. Here we go. The first is tune into your body. Now, for a lot of us, our body or our physical experience is the first sign or our first cue that something's going on. A lot of us don't really notice how we're feeling right away, but we might notice something with our body. So you might notice that your chest feels tight. You have a headache. You might notice that your posture is slumped. You might notice that you've been silent in a meeting. You might feel like your palms are sweaty. You might feel that your eyes are heavy. Tune into your body and let that serve as a guide to sort of dig a little bit deeper or to kind of notice what you're feeling. So tune into your body, our physical, external selves. That's an awesome place to start with your emotional check-ins. Number 2, take a deep breath. So take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Pause before you gently exhale through your mouth. Taking a deep, mindful breath is so important for getting your brain in the right space to be able to pay attention. One of my most popular videos, that is a super old video, you can go back and have a laugh, is my video on mindful breathing. And mindful breathing from a physiological standpoint is also one of the quickest ways to be able to sort of calm your brain and calm your body in any moment. So if we're going to do a check-in, we want to make sure that our mind is as clear as possible so that we can really focus on what we're feeling. So by taking that deep breath, it allows you to kind of do these next few steps with a clear and present brain. All right, number 3, this one's pretty simple. Ask the question, how am I feeling? Just ask that, how am I feeling? Now, if you want to go the extra mile, overachievers out there, here's what I want you to say. How am I feeling right now? Or how am I feeling in this moment? That's going to help your brain really zero into right now in this moment. How are you feeling? Because think about it. That's what a physician does, or that's what that mechanic does. It's not just like, oh, let's do a general checkup. They're really trying to focus in on what you're concerned about. So how am I feeling right now? How am I feeling in this moment? You've got to ask that question. It's what guides your brain to pay attention to your emotions. Number 4, use descriptive emotion words to capture how you're feeling. I'm a big believer that we all need to increase our emotional vocabulary. Saying you feel bad, saying you feel stressed, saying you feel mad isn't very descriptive. We can do better than that. So when you do this step, I really want you to try to use as nuanced and subtle and descriptive words as possible. So maybe you say, I feel worried, afraid, discouraged, overwhelmed. I feel resentful. I feel uneasy. I feel conflicted, right? Are you impressed with my emotional vocabulary? You know, this is what I do. But the goal is to try to really capture with as much nuance and subtlety how you're feeling. Because that's important, right? When you go to the doctor, they don't just say like, oh yeah, looks like maybe you got something going on in your throat, right? They're going to give you hopefully a specific and accurate picture or diagnosis of what's going on, because that allows the intervention, the treatment, the fix. It allows it to be more tailored, which increases the likelihood that you're going to feel how you want to feel. So don't just say, I feel bad. Not allowed. I want you to really use descriptive emotion words with this question. Because remember, the more accurate the assessment, the more helpful the intervention. And last, number 5, brainstorm what might be contributing to those emotions. Now, I focused on a couple words and I hope you heard them. Brainstorm what might be contributing to emotions. emotions. I think so many people want to just know what's causing this. And it's not that simple. Humans and emotions and we're just not that simple that there's one cause. So brainstorm in that moment, what might be contributing to those emotions that you just named? So if you're acknowledged feeling overwhelmed, ask yourself, what might be contributing to feeling overwhelmed? Well, I've got a lot of school projects going on. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, finding a roommate, or I've got this big, thing I've got to do at home, or I have a bunch of people texting or calling, whatever it is, just brainstorm. Try to identify some potential explanations for why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. Now, this isn't about doing anything with those, but it gives you some insight into your emotional experience. And I think change is more meaningful when we have some insight, when we have some idea or understanding about the why we're feeling a certain way. Insight isn't necessary for change, but it makes change a heck of a lot more meaningful and usually a lot more lasting. So I love examples. So let me give you an example of how I use this. So recently I was in my car and I was at a stoplight and I first noticed that I was sort of slumped in my seat. I didn't have a lot of energy. My eyes felt heavy. I was like, my head was kind of tipped over and I felt a little bit like my hand was a little jittery. Like I was sort of, maybe just impatient. So I noticed that a little bit. My hand was jiggly. I'm not going to do that anymore on camera. That's Okay, anyway, so that's what right, tune into your body. So I noticed those things and I acknowledged them. Number 2, I took a deep breath, right? I took a deep mindful inhale and then a mindful exhale as a way to really kind of settle and quiet some of the energy to really be able to pay attention. Almost everything you do will be better and more helpful if you do it with a mindful breath. So I did that. And then I asked myself the question, all right, Allison, right now in this moment, what are you feeling, right? As you sit in the car at the stoplight, what are you feeling? And then I challenged myself to be really descriptive in capturing those emotion words. So I acknowledged, I feel drained, I feel depleted, I feel distracted, and I feel impatient. Now that's much more specific than saying I feel stressed, right? I feel drained, I feel depleted, I feel impatient. I'm being more descriptive here. And then I stopped and asked myself that last question. Okay, what might be contributing to those emotions? All right, I don't know for sure. There's no strep test for emotions, but what might be contributing to those things? And so I acknowledge, all right, I'm a little bit sleep deprived. I have a lot on my plate right now. I know I've got to make this phone call when I get to the office and I'm kind of dreading that. So that's weighing. Traffic has been slow and I looked at the clock like I'm pushing the time. So I'm also rushing as usual for me in the mornings. So when I was able to identify those things, it kind of makes my brain say like, okay, all right, these emotions make sense a little bit. Now, emotional check-ins aren't about fixing a problem and they're not really about instantly making things or making yourself feel better, but they are a necessary step if you want to be able to get somewhere else. Because I can't feel more energized or more focused or more mindful if I don't first notice that I'm, distracted, depleted, drained, or impatient. Helpful interventions start with accurate assessment. I want you to learn how to take your temperature, how to pay attention to what you're feeling because it gives you more control and more power in your own life. We don't always have control, but if we can get it, if we can get more say in how we're feeling and what's going on, then I want you to get that. Now, I'm going to challenge you to experiment with these emotional check-ins. Practice them, do them once a day. They're not going to be easy at first, but with practice, they will get better. You will probably need to set a reminder, set an alarm, or put a sticky note somewhere. Otherwise, you're going to watch this video and then in 2 weeks, you're going to be like, I never did an emotional check-in. You need to set a reminder because that will keep it front of mind for you to be able to practice those 5 questions. Write them down if you need to because they will help you walk through this emotional check-in. They will get easier and eventually you will be able to do them without your cheat sheet. I want you to have more power in your life to make it how you want it to be, and emotional check-ins are an incredible way to do that. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. And as always, seriously, thank you for being here with me on my channel. It means a lot to me, and I hope that you come back week after week excited and empowered to be able to take charge of your mental and emotional health. Thank you so much. Oh, if you want more good stuff like this, I forgot, check out my website, drallisonanswers.com. There's a lot of good stuff there that I don't share here on YouTube. Like this video if you found it helpful, because that helps me know what you want more of. And of course, subscribe to my channel, because then you'll be the first to know about new content. All right, emotional check-ins, make them a priority. They make a difference. Okay, bye-bye.